Well, I suppose I paid, I don't know, I don't think I paid what it was worth. Paid way more than what it was worth, in my opinion, but I just don't have a choice. I'm between a rock and a hard place. The guy I only bid against one guy. It started off and there was no bids, and this guy started in, and I'd seen him when I got there, and he was looking the thing over, and he had his smartphone out and was just, you know, kind of poring over that smartphone. My feeling is he was probably looking at either oh, what is that, Fastline or Tractor House, or maybe Equipment Trader. All three of those, just to see what the price range was on them. I mean, computers are great, but in many respects they're not, because, you know, there was a time you could go to an auction and, you know, get a good deal if nobody was looking or whatever. Wasn't 100% sure what something was worth. Not anymore. All the prices are out there, and the bad thing about those prices being out there, most of those prices are dealer prices. Now, dealer price and reality, hell, that's two different things. That's two different things. I mean, all that stuff on a lot is highly inflated, and I don't know. But I just felt I had no choice. Here's the backlash on the gears. I'm going to set this up. Can you see that? I guess you can see that weld there. Okay, I'm going to try to get that tip of that thing right up level with that weld. Can you see right up in here? It's on the line. That's total backlash. And you might notice when I turn this one, and it immediately starts turning. There's no lag. I mean, it's not brand new, but it's better than anything I've looked at. I mean, I've looked at a bunch of these here in the last few days, and they were all, I mean, they were junk. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. They were junk. I looked at one that was 8,000. It probably had, at that radius I showed you there, it probably had 2 inches movement, you know, where the tip of that blade was that I just, you know, put up. And when he fired it up, I mean, it sounded like a coffee grinder. I mean, just horrible. It didn't start sounding good till it got to very high RPM and it smoothed out. But getting up there, you could hear the gears lagging behind each other. I mean, it was just like one was trying to catch up with the other. I mean, they're just, you could hear it. They were slamming. This one, I don't see what I'd call appreciable movement for, I mean, something that's old. You're just gonna have to see what, you know, see what happens. But anyhow, I looked at one that was 8 grand. There was another one listed at 10 grand that was only 3 years old, but, you know, and that included the cart. I didn't get a chance to go see it. It might have been just a real jewel. It might not have been. I don't know. All I know is this one seemed to be reasonable. It's close to home. And I just went ahead and bought it. I sure hope it turns out to be a good machine. Anyhow, well, there you go. That's, if you price that by the foot, it cuts about 9'6". If you price that out by the foot, what are we looking at? Oh God, I hate to even say. About $1,200–1,300 a foot, or more. Yeah, more than that. Anyhow, it's way too much money. But I can go to dealers all over the state, and hell, even out of state, and I'm probably not going to do any better. And probably a lot worse. So, it is what it is. And you know, age is kind of relative on these things. Before I forget, I figure I better say something about it, at least in my own defense. It depends on who owned it, how it was run, how many acres it covered. Something that was built in 2019 might be as bad as something that's been in the field for 10 years. You just don't know. All I know is this one appears to be tight. I mean, everything on it is tight, and it doesn't look like it's been abused. There's no chunks out of the anything. I mean, it's all there and it's tight. So that's where we're at. Okay, take care. And another reason it wasn't gonna, for me anyhow, I just had it set in my mind there wasn't gonna be anything but a Krone. Now this is that's a wear shield, and it's, you know, it's for crop flow. But from here to here is the width of that cutting bed. You got a pinion gear right up in here somewhere. Yeah, I guess it's right about there. Right about there. That's where your pinion gear is. And then there's spur gears that run all down the side of this. Well, along the length of it. I mean, it's a total gear drive from that main gearbox clear on out. And they're, judging by the size of the bed, there's some pretty doggone big gears. I would imagine those spur gears are probably, oh, they might be like that. I don't know. I've never seen one. I hope I never see one. Let's put it that way. Let's hope everything stays in here for as long as I own it. Never have to look at it. But that's the reason I had to have it. You look at most of the beds out there, they're very narrow. They're probably about like that, you know, about half this size. And they're shaft driven. Got a little bitty shaft that runs from unit to unit to unit. And each one has its own set of gears in there. And I've heard, and it just makes common sense, that the stupid things will shear or bend at the drop of a hat. This thing is stout. It's stout. I think the just the cutter itself, not the cart, not the caddy. I think these, I looked at the weight on them, I think they're about 1,700 pounds, if I'm correct. I might be wrong. And your caddy should weigh right at about a ton, because they're heavily weighted on this right side over here, because it has to counterbalance that machine, it has to counterbalance your disc mower. So there's a lot of material here. And I just felt a lot of what I was looking at was junk, and I don't think I've got junk here. Let's hope she pans out. Anyhow, that's about all I got to say, I guess. Y'all take care. I suppose in some respects, I guess I killed two birds with one stone. I bought this pipe, I don't know, 3 months ago. I don't know how long it's been. And I need to build a bridge crane, and I paid I think $16 a foot for this pipe. It's 8 5/8. It's oh, and you know, when I was at the auction, I talked to a guy who works for a big outfit south of here. He's a oil field and pipeline welder. And he's welded this stuff, and I said, you know, it's, you know, I was talking to him about it, and I told him, I said, man, I'm worried about welding it. And he said, well, you know, it's hard to weld. So when they put I believe they call it a spud on a well, he said just one weld on this, where it, you know, I think that's where the valve goes, is what they call a spud, you know, the Christmas tree. He said one weld around a casing like this can take up to 6 to 7 hours. They have to bring it up to temperature, and then they have to keep the heat at a certain temperature for, you know, quite a long time. And I forget what he said the temperature was, like around 1,200 degrees or somewhere in that range. We were talking about it, and you know, he said, well, for what you're going to use it for, you might get away with it. You know, just a standard 7018 low-high rod, preheat it, and don't expect it to hold weight. It's not like, you know, working casing. That stuff is subject to thousands of pounds of pressure, you know, external pressure, and I think internal too. I'm not sure whether they frack with this stuff, but like he said, it's what they call working casing, so I guess it's pretty stout stuff. But he felt that if it isn't going to hold weight and you're careful with your welds, it might ought to work. But like I say, buying that disc mower kind of made for killing two birds with one stone. It made the decision to use this stuff easy. I'm just going to have to use it. With what I got in that disc mower, I don't have the money to go out and buy a regular A500 structural square tubing. I just don't have the money now. So, and I've got about $1,700 tied up in this crap. So I guess it's going to get used. I tell you, man, you make, I don't know, sometimes I think you make stupid decisions. I think it was a bonehead decision to pay that much for that disc mower, but only time will tell. By the time I pared the list down as to what I figured was acceptable to buy, it was this or a Kuhn, K-U-H-N, I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it. Then I'm not quite sure, but I think they also make the beds for the cutter beds for John Deere disc mowers. But they're the only other one out there that I could find anyhow that's a totally gear-driven unit. And like I say, it just makes me sick. I spent that much money on this thing. I got this tractor sitting here that's got a seized motor. Well, it's semi-seized. You could still turn it, you know, but I shut it down right then and there and towed it back to the house. So a good deal of the money that went into that mower was supposed to go into rebuilding the motor on this tractor, and now that money isn't available. So I don't know. I'm just gonna have to see what happens. I may really, I'm hoping it works good, and I may really just love it, but it's just going to hurt to have to sell it the minute I get done cutting hay this year with it. Get that hay meadow reconditioned and revamped, and so I can get back up there with my old Heston sickle mower. And it's probably going to hurt to sell it, but I'm going to need the money for the tractor. It is what it is.